จากอดีตสู่ปัจจุบันสมเด็จพระนางเจ้าสิริกิติ์พระบรมราชินีนาถคัตยนารีผู้ทรงมีคุณูปการอย่างยิ่งใหญ่ต่อศิลปะและวัฒนธรรมด้วยสายพระเนตรที่ยาวไกลและพระหัตถ์ที่ทรงงานเพื่อแผ่นดินไทยทรงพระราชทานอาชีพแก่ราษฎรก่อเกิดเป็นศูนย์ศิลปาชีพให้สังคมไทยร่วมอนุรักษ์และถักทอผ้าไทยดังพระราชสวนีของสมเด็จพระนางเจ้าความว่าข้าพเจ้านั้นภูมิใจเสมอว่าคนไทยนั้นมีสายเลือดของช่างอยู่ทุกคนไม่ว่าจะเป็นชาวนาชาวไร่หรืออาชีพอะไรอยู่สารทิศใดคนไทยมีความละเอียดอ่อนและฉับไวต่อการรับศิลปะทุกชนิดขอเพียงเขาได้มีโอกาสได้เรียนรู้และฝึกฝนเขาก็จะแสดงความสามารถออกมาให้เห็นได้
Good morning, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. Before we begin our program today, please let me make a few announcements, and please also allow me to inform you of today's program. Today, the conference will last half a day. So we will begin with presentations from the remaining 5 ASEAN countries, which will include Malaysia, Myanmar, Laos, Singapore, and Vietnam today. After that, we will have a short break. And when we come back, we will have a roundtable seminar on the future of community-based tourism in the ASEAN community, with representatives from all 10 countries on stage. That will be followed by a short performance and closing ceremony. So half a day today. Lunch will be at a little bit after 12 p.m., around 12:15. Again, we have provided lunch for all of our guests today downstairs. After lunch, for our ASEAN guests and our VIP guests, we have arranged a tour of a few of the local communities in Phuket, organized by the representatives who were presenting yesterday. So you will have a chance to see what they were talking about in real life. That would be the end of our conference. Before we begin, please check to make sure that you have a translating device, as the conference will be conducted in English, and we have a translator who will translate everything into Thai. If you do not have a translating device, please take your ID card to the station in front of the coffee break area outside, and they will provide you with a translating device. Please also then return the same translating device to get your ID card back. I would also like to inform all of our guests that if you should feel unwell at any point during the conference, we also have nurses available to take care of you. 2 nurses, one here on the 4th floor at the translating device station next to the coffee break area, and also one on the first floor at the guest services station. I would also like to ask everybody to please make sure you fill out the evaluation form and return it to our staff, either at the registration table here or at the guest services station downstairs. Once you have returned the evaluation form, we do have a very nice souvenir provided for you. So please don't miss out on the souvenir. I believe everybody is ready and very excited for the conference to start. So without further ado, please allow me to invite our first speaker for the day, representing Malaysia, Mr. Percy Lui. Mr. Lui works in conservation photography for the private sector in Malaysia. No pocket? No pocket.
All right.
Please give a thumbs up if you can hear Mr. Lui.
Hi. Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes. My name is Percy. Hi. All right. I'm going to thank you guys for being here. I'm going to thank the PCIT and University of Rajaput for having me here today. My name is Percy. I'm from Sabah, Malaysia. I'm going to give you a talk from the private sector. I'm going to tell you more about conservation and how it affects CBT with examples from Sabah. Okay, what do? I teach diving in Sabah. Most of our projects are based on the ocean. We do underwater photography based on conservation photography, which I'll explain to you later. Okay, next. This is Sabah Borneo. It's actually one of the states in Malaysia. It's famous for its mountains. We have Mount KK, which is very, very tall, 4,600 meters. And we have Sipadan, which is the best dive site in the world. Oops. Okay. For the year of 2017, we have a record year for tourism in Sabah. We have an increase of 51% tourists from China. And we actually have mostly exploration tourists. People that come to Sabah, they do not stay in a hotel. They go up to the mountains, they go for diving, they actually like to explore and see the world. Not so much environment, but also culture. So, I'm going to give you mostly based on examples. What we have here is Rafflesia flower, which is the largest flower in the world. When I first visited Sabah 7 years ago, they told me that to see this flower, I have to pay 20 ringgit just to see it. And I say, no, this is too expensive for me. Last year, my friend who is a tour agent, he told me that if anyone offer you 20 ringgit to see this flower, you must see it. And the reason is very simple, is that this flower takes 5 years to bloom, and this flower has to have a very good primary forest. So all the villages along the way to the mountains, they will stop cutting trees, they will not build new buildings, they will actually give nature a chance to bloom. So that for 20 ringgit, you actually protect the environment, because the local community, they get 20 ringgit, they stop destroying the environment, and they allow you to see this flower here. Another example is the mangrove forest in Sabah. The firefly trips are very, very popular in Sabah. However, it requires you to have a very nice forest, because you cannot have light pollution. If there's light in the area, you do not get fireflies. They actually scatter away. And if you have actually logging and pollution, they also disappear. Because of that, Sabah has actually a lot of villages where they actually support tourism by not cutting trees, by not building lights. They actually have their boats to invite you to see the firefly at night. Next. Okay, this is actually coming to what I'm more interested in, which is environmental and cultural stuff in the islands. This is Marble Island, which is located northeast of Sabah. And this is actually a very nice place whereby you can go to Sipadan, which is the best dive site in the world. Also, you can visit Marble Island, which is actually a fishing village full of orang laut, people from the ocean. So tourists that go there for diving, they actually end up staying at resorts or hostels, but most of their money spent when they are not in the hostels are actually in the villages. You can actually take pictures with the kids. You can actually donate money to education in the places. So when you have communication between the resorts as well as local community, you actually see them bringing the local produce. Let's say this lady over here. They will actually bring seafood to you every day from their village to the resort to sell to you. And in this way, the local community actually benefits from tourism in this manner. Next. All right, and next part I'm going to talk about is myself. I do conservation photography. Conservation photography is a very simple concept. This is like this. A picture speaks 1,000 words, but when you see something beautiful, you take a picture and you show it to other people. They'll say, oh, whoa, this is very nice. If they think that this is nice, maybe they'll come back and see it again, or they'll join you to protect it. Very often, when I take a picture of a very nice fish, I'll say, oh, this fish is from Sipadan. I say, oh, that's great. Sometimes when they see something nice, they will come back and they will tell people that, oh, Sipadan is beautiful. Let's come back, let's protect it. So we try to raise awareness and to educate the public that nature is still there. If we protect it, people will come, and people come, the community will actually benefit from it. So these are some examples. All these pictures are actually taken from Sabah, actually. 80% of them are from Kota Kinabalu, which is the capital city of Sabah. 25 minutes from the airport, you can see turtles, you can see jellyfish, you can actually see rays and sharks and stuff like that. Very amazing. And most of the money that we earn from diving actually goes back to our boatmen. So we hire locally, we hire boatmen, we hire captains from the local fishing village. It's very amazing to see. After each diving season, as they go home, you see them come back next day with new watch, new cameras and stuff like that. This is great because the money goes directly to them. There are big, how to say it? If you were to spend $1 at McDonald's or to spend $1 at a local village, the $1 in the village will serve a better purpose. It will allow the kids to go to school, you will buy them new school textbooks and clothing. So compared to going to big corporations. Next. So this is one of my favorite. This is what we do for conservation photography. This is a nudie branch. It's smaller than my finger. It's actually everywhere in the ocean. However, if you do not see it, you will not know how small it is. You can see my finger on the left corner. So very often we tell people that, hey, look at this marine protection zone. This is beautiful. It has small stuff like that. However, if you do not clean it up, you cannot find stuff like that. A closer picture of this looks like this. So when you take a light, you shine onto it, it looks really, really nice. Remember, it's smaller than my finger. So 70% of all rubbish in the ocean will go to the bottom. So the more rubbish there is, the less nudie branch you get. The less nudie branch, the less diver, the less money for a local community. One more example. Do you see the little green dot at the corner? Oops. And my finger also. This is also a nudie branch. This is actually behind a fishing village in Kota Kinabalu. So if I zoom into it with my light, you can see a nudie branch. This is also very, very small. This is how we educate the local community, is that you have beautiful, beautiful ocean. You have a lot of the small stuff under the ocean. If you protect it, divers will come. If they come, you get some money, and the community will benefit over time. Next. And speaking of protection and conservation, we are very fortunate to be in Southeast Asia because we're in the Coral Triangle area, which is the area of the most diverse species of marine life. And we are very fortunate. Every red dot you see on the map is good news because this is a marine protection zone, whereby if you have zones like this, fish can grow, you can get more sharks, you can get more nudie branches and stingrays and stuff like that. The important part about marine protection zone is this, is when you protect the area, you get more small fish. When there's more small fish, there's more big fish, and there's more food for everyone, and tourism will actually prosper. So, for example, if you look at Malaysia, it's mostly focused on Sabah, so that's why we actually spend a lot of time taking photos to tell people that it's beautiful, and you can also visit us. Next. Okay, what we do for the ocean is actually very important. As a paddy diver, we do a lot of Project Aware, whereby we actually go under the ocean and we pick up rubbish. The amazing thing about this is that it's very difficult to ask government for money to pick up rubbish. It's a very nice thing to do, but it's very expensive. Scuba diving gear is expensive, the boat is expensive, and training for a diver is also expensive. So what we do at Sabah is that we actually encourage people to come to dive for fun. So they pay us to dive, and as one part of the diving trip, we'll try to clean up the ocean. It's called Project Aware, whereby you spend money, you get experience. All these pictures are actually tourists that have actually paid us to go diving, and in part help us clean up the ocean. And the good news is not just this, is that every time we pick up something like a net or plastic bottles or cans, we actually recycle them, and the money goes back to the captain or the community. So it actually encourages the captain to say, hey, this place is pretty dirty. Maybe we can bring some divers there and clean it up together. Next. So we not only do rubbish picking up, we not only do photography, we also go back to the community and educate the children that, hey, Sabah is beautiful. Maybe you should come and take a look. Actually, this is actually done 2 weeks ago at a local school. Only 2 children out of 40 has been to the Marine Protection Zone because most people actually do not visit their own islands or their own highlands. When they have holidays, they go somewhere far away. But if you teach the young generation that, hey, you have a beautiful place, maybe it's time to protect it, then maybe they'll come back and join us for protection. Next. Okay, my speech is pretty fast. So you can actually look for me on Instagram, because if you have projects, if you have, how to put it this way, we have communities in Sabah that tell us, hey, our place is beautiful, but we have no tourists, what can we do? Very simple. Take some pictures, advertise it, set up the project, get people who are interested in experience tourism to help you clean up the ocean or to bring more money to the economy. And that's all. Thank you.
So thank you very much for the very interesting presentation and nice pictures from under the ocean. I'd now like to open the floor to any questions that people may have.
Good morning.
Yeah.
So aside from your own company,
Yeah.
or we call it company,
Yep.
do you think the government has organized same project like yours of preserving the environment or the ocean in Sabah?
In Sabah, actually, we get quite often that the government departments will actually do a like team building day. They will go clean up the ocean. They actually plant some coral reef too, which is not very common because coral reef planting is very expensive. I can give you an example. To plant one artificial coral reef in Sabah costs 6,000 ringgit. To have a successful group of it, you have to spend maybe 40,000, 50,000 for it. So we do not get that very often, but we do get government departments that help us clean up the ocean. Because unfortunately, not everyone can dive, but everyone can pick up the ocean from rubbish from the beach or from the parks and stuff like that. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Percy.
Yep.
I know you because I'm from Green Apple Voyage. I organized the flight ticket for everyone.
Yes, hello.
Okay, and then I just been Kota Kinabalu from in June.
In June, yeah.
Yes, and then I just thought that this is concerned with the travel agent. I have the travel agent that I contact in Malaysia,
Yep.
but they didn't show me about this one in Sabah. And
it
then
is
they
true.
show me another thing opposite side, which is not impressed to my group. This one, I just thought that it's too late for me to meet you. If I know you before, then I think my group will be impression in this one.
It is. Unfortunately, it's very expensive and difficult to do marketing to tell people how beautiful your island is. So it takes a lot of time because when I take pictures of the underwater ocean, if I see a fish that's very nice, it takes me 10 minutes to take a good picture. So very often divers don't see it as nice as us. But if you know it's there, I think you can bring people to help us because every time you dive with us, part of the money goes to the community and part of the money goes into conservation together. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions?
Dr. Yasuo.
Yeah, it's a simple question. Your customers, I mean tourists,
Yep.
Which country is the most common?
Oh, that's amazing. 80% of our customers come from China.
Chinese.
Yeah. Yes, this is the amazing thing. Most people think that tourists are terrible. At first you have some that's great, and when a trickle becomes a torrent, people complain that tourists are making your island dirty and stuff like that. But it's not the fact. If you have 10 tourists, if one helps you clean up the ocean, 2 helps you plant a coral, in 10 years your island will be beautiful. That's why we are starting this. Instead of blaming the government or blaming tourists, we actually use them to help the community in that sense. A lot of time, the tourists, when they come back, they actually bring clothes and stuff like that and give it to our captains and stuff like that, because we tell them that, oh, these guys have pretty low wages, they have a very tough life. Sometimes if they see the community, they will try to give back to it, not just the community, and maybe the environment also. So 80% is from China, amazingly. Maybe 10% of customer comes from Malaysia, and the rest is from Southeast Asia. Yeah. Thank you. Oh, yes.
I really appreciate your presentation, and I'm wondering about how you work with communities, because community, you can work with the private community,
Yeah.
or a group of community in order to ensure the contribution of benefits of tourism.
Yes. Unfortunately, our company is pretty small, but there's two ways to it. First one, our company is pretty small. We have our boat captains, we have our crew, and most of the money goes back to the fishing village where they came from. However, we are also part of PADI. PADI has Project Aware, where part of the money actually goes to a worldwide conservation effort. So if you have, let's say you want to clean up the ocean, you need some marketing or money from PADI, sometimes they'll actually give you some money for it. But for most part, conservation or CBT in Sabah is based on nature. If it's beautiful, people will come. So a lot of time, the locals, they invited tourists, but they forgot to clean up the environment. After a few years, it will look pretty bad. Some places are like that, like some firefly places. When there's more tourists, they started to build more roads, they have more lights, and suddenly there's no more firefly, and the whole place collapsed. That's why in recent years, the government as well as the tour companies have been encouraging the local population to say, okay, if you want firefly, if you want tourists, stop cutting trees, stop making more lights, build a very nice road, and that's all you do. So the money is actually very private-centric. If you notice my talk, most of it is to tell you what we can do today. Even a holiday can actually help the environment. So I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
Lee.
you.
Again, if you have more questions for our speakers, please write them down and hand your questions to one of the staff. We will compile the questions and then give them to the speakers at the end of the conference. Thank you. The next speaker I would like to invite to the stage is the representative from Myanmar, Mr. Ang Pyo. So Mr. Ang Pyo works for the government in the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism and works in implementation of community-based tourism in Myanmar. Please welcome Mr. Ang Pyo. So once again, when you can hear Mr. Ang Pyo, please give a thumbs up for us. Because I can hear him here, because I'm next to him. So I don't know. Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, auspicious to you all. Sawadee Krap, the Excellencies and Honorable Attendant of the Phuket University and distinguished representative from the ASEAN country and honorable guests and ladies and gentlemen. And It can be indeed a great pressure for me to present our community-based tourism in Myanmar, how to implement and what is the role of what are the role of the government sector to implement CBD in Myanmar sustainably. I'm Mr. Ampyo from the Minister of Hotels and Tourism and Myanmar, and my colleague, Mr. Pahyo Cho, who will be a part of the presentation. So, I will present to the CBD information about Myanmar. There will be a 4-part in my presentation about Myanmar and policy for community-based tourism and community-based tourism sizes in Myanmar, and as I told you, government role in CBD initiatives. Since recently opened is due to Myanmar is due to international community. We have experienced a good tourist arrival into Myanmar, but Myanmar is still in fancy stage among the ASEAN countries. We are still behind the tourism development compared with the Thailand tourism. So Myanmar is one of the Southeast Asia countries. It's formerly known as the Golden Land, but it still deserves to its name because we have the many various types of tourism resources such as natural diversity, culture, tradition, and ecology and diversity. We have comprised over 135 ethnic nationalities and ethnic groups. So our government needs to improve the local life of in the rural area. So I will point out some district especially in Myanmar. We can say 3U for Myanmar: unique, Answine, and terrible. We possess some Asian destination in Myanmar: Pagan, Miao, the Kenyan or American. So is I will want to point out some Asian destination in Myanmar. Among the ASEAN countries, we possess significant snowcap mountain in the northern part of Myanmar. It's called the Mount Kakapurasi. It's high over near 6,000 meters. One of the significant snowcap mountain in Southeast Asia. Napoli Beach is as wide beach, and we can dive and we can see the clear, transparent seawater. We cordially invited and we look forward to the responsible traveler to Myanmar to preserve and conserve our natural diversity. Its makeup is a border series even with the Thailand marine site at the Ranao, and Kotong is the border country with Myanmar and Thailand. It comprises over 800 islands, and in this make archipelago, you can see the natural sea diversity and specifics in this area. You can take a walk from the Ranao to Kotong. It takes 20 minutes. Yes. Myanmar always happy in their daily life, so we can see the many festivals each and every month. Some popular festivals are Water Festival, Kachimano Festival, and Lighting Festival in the Techo season. And as I explained to you, we have the 135 national races in Myanmar, so the government need to raise their life. So after our new democracy, government took their seats, we promulgate, we laid down the 3 priority sectors to develop the station in Myanmar. The most significant one is to develop the community-based tourism in Myanmar in 103 priority plans. So CBD is well growing and popular in Myanmar. So we need to aware this is a tool for rural development, for property regulation, and to creating the job opportunity for the local people. It's not only a tool for minimize the local environmental impact, but also the priority for community participation and contribution to local people. Visitors can feed 4 activities in CBD site in Myanmar to learn, feed, and share. They do the local practice, and they learn from the local way of life, and they feel the tourism feeling in rural area, and the local people and the visitors share their experience and their tradition among the two communities. Before the implementation of the CBD sites in Myanmar, we laid down and we draw up the policy and guideline for CBD. It's called community policy on community involvement in tourism, with the 6 objectives of systematic development in Myanmar tourism-based tourism. It's a roadmap and a simple guideline to implementation the CBD sites in Myanmar. So, at the initial stage, we implemented the 6 CBD initiative as a first 100-day plan of new capacity, and with the aim of this project are to develop the human resource HR development, exploring new tourist attraction within the old and new market, and expanding tourism market linkage with the old market segment and new segment. And then we implement the next 3 CBD subjects. So we are
canoe boat, machine boat, and bicycle around the village.